What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Today, we are looking at the number 15 player
in the universe of CSGO.
He is somebody who is the right-hand man of all time. The guy, one of the best riflers in the game's history. A player, do you know who it is? The player who has, he's the Robin to the Batman. How do I not give this away? This is his, in my opinion, kind of worst year so far in his appearances in the top 20, of course, by my list, my standards. But still somebody who wore multiple hats this year, and actually incorrectly said that one other player was the only IGL to be on this list. Damn it, I always make a mistake. I looked at this guy's name, I was like, just glanced right by it. Wasn't even a thought. And then there's even another player too. But anyways, have you guessed yet? That's right, it's Electronic.
What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another video.
Electronic, ladies and gentlemen, my number 15 player of the year. Looking at his last 4 years, number 7, number 5, 6, 4. It's a year where it's 15. I mean, it's still 15th best in the year, and we'll see what HLTV has to say about it. For me, this year's insanely competitive. The strongest top 20 of all time. Everyone's playing so damn well. Na'Vi could have very easily in another year been the best team in the world. They were in 2021, but now there's just too many teams that are good, and they're slumping a bit, of course. Many reasons for this. And Electronic switched from just primarily rifler in his roles to IGL, swapped some roles in-game when SDY joined the team, actually changed some stuff up, T-side positions, took over a couple of Boomich's roles. Not everything's the same for him. The spot that we're going to watch him playing in today is one of his most famous spots. Can you guess what it is? Mini on Nuke on CT side, one of Navi's core maps. Probably the second most important player on the map besides Simple. And then I would say Perfecto is one of the best upper. And then we go on from there. By the way, I wanted this disclaimer every single time because people always will say, how could this be the number whatever player of the year? This won't be HLTV. This is not HLTV's list. This is just a list inspired by HLTV's list. One of the best websites of all time. Loved their list. Wanted to throw in just my personal view based on all the games that I've watched, all the demos I've watched this year. Try to look at it with a mix of all of the other things, the stats, which they can't never tell the whole story. Of course, communication. There's small details about CS that are very hard to quantify. But yeah, that's exactly it. So I wanted to make a list where I talk about players who I feel like are best in role, who define the team in their positions, who do a lot more than maybe it looks like they do, who you can look at and know why it's them and not somebody else. So that's it. Let's hop into the game and watch Electronic play a CT side. A great demo, learning the map, and I tried to start off with a few things to pay attention to, and I want to keep doing that. So let me know if that's a good idea. Let's get into it. The guy with the Quake crosshair. No way he won Blast Spring Final with this crosshair. Well, this is actually from before. This is the PGL Antwerp Major. It's the rematch versus Heroic, and it's a game where Electronic cleaned up. He dusted their asses, okay? So we're here to watch it. This is actually tactic he just used on that pistol he did in the last pistol versus Heroic as well. When I watched that game back, want to start off again with these demos with some things to watch for Electronic. So we're watching a mini player, CT side of Nuke. We are paying attention to crosshair placement for Electronic. We are watching for the theme of this demo is going to be reacting to pressure. So when Electronic, we're going to talk about the zone that he's responsible for on the CT side when he's playing inside of mini, and what area he's looking to fight back against, and how he reacts when there's no pressure. I think that's the big one. Okay, so the whole job description in this position is keep your A players safe and keep information out. Get information outside. Okay, so as you can see, you got a CZ player running into mini. Electronic can let that happen, no problem, as long as he's got their back covered outside. He is going to be a very free player that's also responsible for rotating lower, like in this round. And so there are a number of spots that you have to play. You are putting your best rifler inside of mini. If you're making a team with your friends, you put your best rifler. Don't pretend one guy's actually better than he is. Put your best rifler inside mini. and that's it. Don't think more about it. You also don't put like a lurker type inside a mini. You put a guy who likes to fight. I mean, that's also a thing. Electronic, we know, one of the best riflers of all time. For a long time, the right-hand man is simple. Of course, this year, not the best year, right? One of the worst years, actually, overall for Electronic. But, I mean, I don't know how high he'll be, but a lot of turmoil inside of Na'Vi, and individually speaking, high peaks, not insanely high peaks with consistency. Like, not the top 5 rifler that we know and love, but still an excellent player. And also, as soon as he picked up the duties of calling, he won Blast Lisbon as an individual on top of as a caller. So we saw some crazy stuff out of him this year. I really think that people have been critical of Na'Vi and the way that they play. I actually feel like Na'Vi play at their peak on some of these T rounds, the best T rounds that you can call, that I've ever seen in the game. I've kind of extended this level of praise to Cloud9 in some rounds and some maps with the quality of play that I would say Na'Vi take it to another level in terms of, as perfect with a little bit, with the aggression, all the layers, all the variety. I think they've got some of the most ambitiously called and well executed rounds possible. And they sometimes fail because some of the individuals on the team are actually just not having a great year overall. I don't think that's the calling's fault, in my opinion. It could be, though. It could be. And that's fair to think about. All right, so we just saw, by the way, Electronic playing outside. He's playing around his zone. So again, we'll talk more about his zone in a second, as he's just murking them, basically. So Shush goes down. Let's see what happens next, and then I'm just going to open up the mini-map, and we can discuss his position in mini before I start blabbering over more good rounds with lots of kills. Okay. I'm good. Press 1 if I skip this kill. No, I don't. Okay. Okay, so as he runs out of spawn here, he's going to path this way. He's either going to throw a nade or an HE. When he has this forward rightmost spawn on the map, he's most likely going to push or attempt to push, and it depends on the pressure coming outside. But you're going to see Electronic play this spot. This spot very important because of the shadow advantage that comes through. So right now he's not playing pushed up. There's no pressure outside. So the only times that he does, he'll have that forwardmost spawn, but in this round he doesn't decide to. It is an anti-eco, so no need to push in this position. As you can see, the pistols coming out. And he's trying to bait that simple push, so he didn't mean to hit him, but the nade actually, it disarms you mentally when you know, when you see that nade. You don't think anyone's pushing with a nade, of course, so. Okay, let's move on to the next round. We got the rightmost spawn again. Let's see if this on this rifle round he does go for a kind of push or does something similar that he did last round. He's too slow right now to go back. All right, so right here, this is the zone I'm going to talk about. This is the area of interest right now for Electronic. I can't really draw it that well. I mean, I could draw this even wider, but it's just because of smoke sometimes. Just because of smoke sometimes, he's not going to like be responsible necessarily for the cross. But the most active positions he's going to play over here. He's going to play back credit card. He's going to play inside big garage, and he's going to play most of the time inside a mini. And all of the time, he's basically facing this way and fighting anything that comes this way at all times. So if there's a mini drop, that's Electronic 100%. If there's someone lurking big garage, Electronic is trying to catch it. If there's cross pressure, then Electronic will think about trying to drop an event and stop them as they go lower. But anything audibly that happens outside or visually within smokes, Electronic is going to actively try to fight it. And that's what makes this position really difficult. You have to take a lot of good fights. I mean, there are good fights here, but a lot of fights, sometimes more than one per round. There's a lot of interest in the T side in attacking you and putting pressure on you. As you can see, all these smokes are actually just to block his vision. All right, so now the double up in mini, it opens up Electronic a lot. He doesn't have to worry as much about some kind of fake to squeaky, I should say. And now at a certain point, he has to worry about a lurk that can come. So he starts to lose ground here and peels back. Still, though, his job doesn't change, right? He's still got to worry about this area. And we'll see how he changes up. Now, they've actually lost ramp, so this makes his position a lot worse, actually a lot harder. Let's actually just watch and see what happens now. You can he was actually looking for like a kind of low percentage lurk that was coming out that way. Or maybe that molly on the floor. I think a lurk was really possible right there. So not a great round here for Na'Vi, but actually if they come back upstairs, maybe there's a chance. Yeah, he could save it. Oh, and Stown was he the lurk? It looks like yes. Going to be... Oh, whoa, the bomb is here. What? That is such a heroic moment. Such a crazy round. What are we thinking? The smoke just checkmates them. They try to attack him. There's one in heaven. There's no chance to win this. Okay, he actually wins the round just like that. Not much pushing going on, actually. I thought there was going to be a little bit more. To be honest, I watched a couple of bad games, interestingly enough, and he was playing pushed up more often, and versus heroic as well. So it looks like he's just kind of stopped doing that. Look at the amount of rotations going on now. They're dealing with downstairs. Electronic goes upstairs to supplant the upper player, so he can rotate into lobby. He takes heaven. He can spot outside from heaven as well. Yeah, and that's another important part about this part of the map. You have to be careful with your shadow at all times on nuke when you're playing outside in a lot of positions. And for Electronic, he's going to make it his job to try to take advantage of the shadow when he's playing inside a mini, when he's playing pushed up as well. Okay, so here's actually pushing with a back spawn. And this is a spot that you play sometimes. Again, looking here, shadow can be spotted. Now, the way Electronic himself clears outside when he's playing T-side, he jumps up on this box very often. Really good at clearing this angle and kills people in this spot. Sometimes Refresh will be the one walking outside if it's not a full attack. I think we heard a scope here. Now he's supported by this push from Simple on the opposite side of red. But so it doesn't look like anyone's going to walk into this angle and won't see the shadow come into effect. We'll see if they take some weird path, but I think Simple's got a deep enough angle. Yeah, he does. Yeah, there's Refresh. So Refresh can be alone is the thing. And this means that Electronic can actually turn into a push in this position given some time. So they really open up the map here. Simple would be so unlikely to push in this spot. They have ramp control still. They're fortified upper. This is such a winning position for Na'Vi. And Electronic, around the 40-second mark, I would assume, is going to start to walk around to lobby because it's too late to take outside control. So let's see if that's the case. Oh, sorry, just skip past. So this is good protocols by Heroic because that's something that could happen. They came to see... if anyone was still here, so they could do something else. They weren't going to use outside, but they may have been able to source a kill, which is huge. So let's see if Shush drops out of... No, there's the shadow advantage I was talking about. So yeah, they were turning that into a lurk, and it looked like towards upper, right? So it looked like towards upper with Shush's pathing. Shush could obviously be the lurk to lower, but they would have had 3 people on the lower attack versus 5 alive and Shush on a lurk. Little bit unlikely Shush would be on a delayed lurk. And so now Heroic's plan's been made clear. It's all about time left on the clock, right? You know, if the whole team comes outside at 40 seconds, it's possible, sorry. In certain situations, it's just less comfortable. So you're going to figure out when you should push based on that, when you should flank based on that. When you see lurk timings, someone going to the back of mini, it's totally reasonable that they could be lurking for a lower hit. But in a situation like this, it's 5v4. It's actually unlikely that Shush is going to try to kill players rotating secret when he's only got 3 teammates that have to take the whole lower side, clear things out, trade, and everything like that. That would be a good spot for him to be in if he was in the 5v4 and they had extra players to actually deny saves, deny saving players. Really be annoying for anyone going outside. It's like an eyes forward to the fence. Electronic spawning the cross, making sure that all the cracks are taken care of, right? No one's seeping through. His credit card, big garage. He's protecting heaven. He's protecting mini. And again, being very active. And so many times in around, you know, Electronic can die. That's the tough part about the job. So they actually do heaven wrap smokes here. But they flash cleared it with Electronic. It didn't scare them. However, it looks like Heroic are still getting kills. Of course, I just pressed fast forward for 1 second. 1 second, I pressed fast forward. So I couldn't stand to see refresh die, okay? I couldn't stand to see it. This molly gets spammed a lot, but it's huge, right? It's the one choke point. Look at how many players are trying to squeeze out of this one doorway. And this molly, whether to damage them or force a smoke out or stop them from pushing entirely. And that's a really important 7 seconds, especially for anything fast. So a lot of these, how would you call them? I'd say high traffic choke points. I think it's an important thing to actually describe on in CS, because there's a few positions like this where it looks like, why do the CTs just waste the molly every round? Well, it's because there isn't another way to do something fast without sending everyone out through this one molly wide choke point. And if you want to do something fast, well, this is a great denial of that, especially when you have an economic advantage and you have money to spend. You know, use that molly for info, extra damage, punish the other team for not having enough utility themselves to put it out, or just give yourself an audible to win. If that molly is respected, then there's a certain amount of options that you can implore on other parts of the map that the other team has to now respect, right? You could have another push coming out somewhere else, or you could be getting into a really good angle that's normally harder to get to, and these things will now be on their mind. Okay, so Simple's the loose player on... Simple's the other, I guess, the other loose player. He's the loosest CT nuke player in the world. He rotates the most, plays the most different positions. The core component, of course, of Navi's CT side, besides electronic on this map, and besides Perfect, and besides, you know, everyone's really good. Okay, we're getting this push again. And it's actually the same exact push with Simple. They didn't use this in the last match they played against Heroic. Electronic was out here by himself. This time they decided to double up most of the time. Okay, not much to say about that. Nice shots. You can join in now. So there's a see. This is a push you make when you get a kill. If you lose a kill, then you don't really do that, because then the T's just don't. They're not overstressed enough. They could be looking at all of the. They have so many people coming into the site. They have so many people that could be looking anywhere. That's one of the situations where having a 5v4 is such a significant advantage. Stopping the first kill in a rush opens up so many options that just allow you to just like make the other team collapse. Rerouting back through Secret, through Squeaky, or through Squeaky Vent, I should say, is an important play for you on CT side. You do, you know, think of yourself as a security guard. You're just patrolling. You're creating timings, but you're also removing them. And by doing this, you don't have to think, like, was there a chance someone lurked through? Was there a chance someone got down vent? You can answer some of those questions. And when you come up, every time you come up Squeaky stairs, you have a huge chance for like some big kills, right? Guys crossing through red. It's also a safer way to get into this position that we just see Electronic do. Plays very well off the smoke. Oh my god. The info gain there, just a couple of feet. And and playing in secret is so important. It's just so important because no matter how smart you are and how careful you are, there's always a chance on nuke someone gets by. You know, if someone is I got distracted by that shadow. Okay. There's always a chance that someone gets by. There's always a chance that someone sneaks into vent. They could have walked in a vent, dropped down quietly through a smoke. They could have crossed outside. There's lots of timings. You don't have 100% time. You don't have info 100% of the time in any one position. So sometimes the visual confirmation is the only way that you can really tell your team for sure they don't have to worry, right? Because if you give up secret like that, you put your ramp player in jeopardy. Let's say there is some kind of lower attack. Well, now there could be some weird lurk situation in lower with a ramp hit coming in. No place for your ramp player to fall back to, and then they'll get crushed. And it's your outside player's fault or your upstairs player's fault for not calling it. And sometimes even if you call it, I mean, that's not good enough. Sometimes you have to go and check. Otherwise, they're going to die. You're going to lose. Ramp players get hung out to dry very often. Well, interestingly, Electron... Wow, he just gets the early spray off, gets some damage off. It's just been very good on the spam timings, straight up when it comes to all these different hits. Nice disengage there. Ooh. Shush unswung and swung again. And you have to be willing to take hard fights. You said just how Electronic looking to the top of silo like that. You got to be okay with that if you're going to be playing outside. It's just the way she goes. Okay, here's that. Here's what I was talking about right there. Oh, okay. He still gets away with it. I was saying, you know, when they get to 5v4, that kind of push makes sense. Here he had one person, I guess, still alive upstairs that drew attention so that he could swing. And they win. I think Sybil hits the ladder shot like half the time. Okay. The other half. Oh yeah! That was fun. Unfortunate team flash. Oh, he sees him right corner. Can he kill him? It's been so good through smokes right now. Let's see if he can get a better gun and make a meal of this. It's interesting we actually see how little he has been responsible for Squeaky. Which, for some teams, the way they structure it, that's all they do is really just focus on Squeaky, putting pressure on Squeaky and smoke spams and everything like that. Navi don't seem to participate in that, and I think that can be really smart. You just have to, you still have to put pressure on it. You have to keep Squeaky smoked all the time. You have to make sure it's naded. You have to punish anybody who wants to try to vent drop all the time until they're, you know, properly conditioned. Oh wow, he is making a meal of it. Beautiful round once again from Electronic, and the one time he actually pushes into Squeaky, he gets something for it. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's funny. Oh! Wow. Really laid into him there. Taught him a lesson. And won the rematch and got this 12-3 scoreline at the major. That's Navi. That's Electronic playing Mini. And again, the interesting part I think about this game was how little he actually paid attention to Squeaky itself. We see everything go so well because of smoke spam timings. He got the shadow advantage fight on his push once. He actually did change a few things that I wasn't expecting based on the games that I watched. But Electronic, we get to see what the idea is behind playing inside of Mini. How much variation. Like if you had to pick one spot that you'd say he was in most often, what spot would it be? It feels like he wasn't actually inside of Mini that often. He wasn't in front of Squeaky that often. He wasn't in credit card every single round, but he's in all these spots a lot. Sometimes he was falling all the way back. Sometimes he's taking over heaven, rotating down lower, which he didn't do that much this game, which sometimes he has to do a lot. So it is a broad job. Lots of different important duels. Stopping lurks is huge. And basically, again, you put a very active and your strongest rifler all at the same time. Like if you put, you know, you could say, oh, well, Bit could play in a spot like this, and he definitely could, but he's not as much of an active roamer as someone like Electronic is by nature. So that was Electronic playing inside of Mini for Navi this year. Had to play half the year as an individual, half the year as an IGL. Unclear whether or not he was even better as an individual or as an IGL. Wearing a couple of hats, putting up some massive performances when he was calling as well. Locking in number 15 this year. Not his best year, of course. We have seen better years out of Electronic, but it was still a great year and still showing why he's one of the best riflers of all time. And even though Navi are not in the perfect spot ever, this is still a fantastic performance. Honestly, it just speaks to how difficult this year is, right? Last year, number 7, the year before that, number 5, 6, 4 in the last 2 years before that, respectively. So this will actually be his worst in the top 20 when he's made his appearance. So that's interesting, at least for my list. So there's that, but that's where I've got him. Electronic, the rifler of all time. Thanks for watching. Let me know who's next.